In a recent video, I mentioned how one time a girl flirted with me by implying that I had a large penis, which made me very uncomfortable once I realised, but at the time I didn't notice what was going on, and I just thought it was a very weird thing to say. And one of you lovely people commented on the video and asked me to do a video sharing my viewers' own stories about ridiculous or funny or embarrassing stories about being ace. So I went to Twitter and asked you to share your stories, and share them you did. I got about 22 replies to this tweet. It's not about us exactly. And that's what I'm going to share today. So sit back, relax, drink some hot chocolate, and let's share some stories. Immortal Ambrose said, I have a couple about being completely oblivious to flirting and accidentally making these poor guys think I'm interested. I wonder whether I've ever accidentally flirted with someone. I'm quite oblivious to flirting myself. Maddie Loves BTS says, whenever my period is late or I'm not feeling good, my mum asks me if I'm pregnant. Every time. She knows I'm asexual too. Julia LaBush said, my grandfather asked if there are any nice boys at my school. I have plenty of guy friends and I thought that's what he meant, so I said yes. He then asked, any that you like? And when I said no, oh well, that'll change. No, it won't. So I actually had this once as well. I was meeting with a friend and we were going to another friend's house, and this friend was a girl, and I mentioned it to a family member, and they were like, ooh, you can have friends of the opposite gender, damn it. Juliet Melody Grace said, I discovered what asexuality was and started questioning if that was me from a WikiHow page. Part of me wishes I was kidding, but I'm dead serious. I mean, fair enough. If it introduces you to the topic, go WikiHow. Hong Shi said, it took me a solid 15 minutes to understand an innuendo someone made, and my friends laughed at me the whole time. If I don't understand a joke, it doesn't make any sense. I normally assume it's an innuendo. Most of the time I'm right. Abby the Ace said, I managed to embarrass myself a bit because every time a nurse asks me if I'm pregnant, I blurt out, if I am, you better call the Pope and the church. And my mum follows it up with, yeah, those Jewish girls. Can't trust them not to get pregnant via abstinence. Some nurses laugh, others look mildly offended, and others look confused as hell. My favourite nurses are the ones that get that I'm not sexually active and laugh. I've had this with a medical professional once as well. I was talking to my GP about sexual health, and this was after I'd broken up with my most recent boyfriend. And then she gave me the details for the sexual health clinic. And I was like, oh no, I don't need them, I'll never have sex again. And she just looked at me funny, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go now. And then I left. I didn't really feel like explaining my sexual orientation to the GP. Akari said that one time when my co-workers invited me to lunch, one of them just asked me if I liked men or women. I just answered, I'm asexual, I just don't hit for any team, hehe. And my other co-worker just threw a high-pitched what? Plus a look of disappointment. Not disappointing, it's awesome. One might say it's ace. Tracy said, I had no idea what good in bed meant when my friends would brag about having sex with their boyfriends. I mean, I'm good at sleeping in bed. Days said, I came out with the ace spit emoji on my birthday, which is also coming out day. My two ace friends and I saying, no, at the same time when someone says something ace-phobic. Gotta correct those ace-phobes, or aphobes as you've written. I just auto-corrected it in my head apparently. Hamburger Helpless 330 said, when we watched the puberty video in 5th grade, my clown ass purposefully fell out of the chair every time the video said vagina. Teacher obviously caught wind and I got kicked out of the room and never finished the puberty video. I joke about it being linked to my asexuality a lot. In my puberty lessons, I just stared blankly at a wall And the thing is, my resting face can be quite angry looking, especially during secondary school, so I'd just be staring dead like this. And no one bothered me. Mary is prideful said, "This isn't exactly about me, though I am Arrow Ace. I have a character in my book I am writing that's Apo Ace." I don't know if that's a typo or not, because I liked the representation. I have a friend who's probably not exactly the best person in my life, who is also writing a book, and we would frequently talk about them. I would mention the character and her best friend often, as they were main characters. She would say a lot of things like, "Oh, they'd be cute together," or "Oh, I ship them." And I'd tell her she's Arrow Ace, and she'd simply say, "Maybe he would fix her heart." Like, no. Arrow's hearts don't need fixing. They're perfectly fine as they are. Stop bothering them. The security blanket said my ex tried to do sexual stuff with me, knowing that I was Ace. Couldn't feel anything whatsoever except for nervousness and embarrassment. I'm sorry you went through that. It's very difficult. But I think the key is knowing your boundaries and having the willpower to say no and to set those boundaries and stick to them, which is a lot harder than it sounds. I'm not the best person to tell you to do things because I'm not very good at that myself. Sierra said after my aunts learned that I was Ace, she bought me a fries before guys pillow for my birthday. I do love chips. They're nice. I like putting Cajun spice on chips. But I want a guy as well. I would choose a guy over chips, but not having sex with him. Eric, no, says, my ex used to say he was also Ace, but broke up with me for not giving him enough sex. Yeah, I had that once as well. They were like, "Oh, that sounds like me too. I'm like that." And then he wasn't. Sparkle Sketch says, when I was going through the talk in middle school, I zoned out almost the entire time and looked out of the window instead since I was sitting right next to it. I turned back in at the end and my teacher kept saying the word breasts and I had to ask her what it meant. I think you just needed a lesson in basic anatomy. Ace of Queers said I was so sex oblivious that throughout my childhood friends were making innuendos that went over my head. They invited me to watch porn once and I couldn't understand why was this all necessary just to have kids. Wouldn't it just be easier to collect the sperm and insert it? Yes. Sex is weird. I've never watched porn. It sounds weird. It'd be nice if you could just like magic babies. Just be like, "I love you, baby." Joe, aka The Mish, said 2 friends of mine once asked what my sexuality was, and I gave them a 30-minute lecture on asexuality and aromanticism. One of them said, "Whoa, I wish I was asexual. Life seems so less complicated." I sat there laughing at her for 5 minutes before I realised she wasn't joking. Yes, people don't understand how difficult asexuality and aromanticism can be sometimes. I apologise in advance. Anarchicide said my wife as well as my best friend like to tease me with crass sexual humour because I react like a little girl all... That's a gif. And that is all the stories I have for you today. This was really fun to do. So if anyone else wants to suggest something, I will get around to it eventually, I always do. And I love it when I can incorporate you guys into it, especially at the moment because I'm quite busy and this doesn't take as much preparation as doing all the stuff myself and trying to think of all the things to say myself. But yes, if you enjoyed this video then please leave a like. I post videos every Saturday, so if you want to see more then feel free to subscribe. That's all I had to say today. Have a wonderful day and I shall see you next time.